Father's Day is Sunday, and WagerTalk has a perfect gift for all you dads out there. Lock in as many handicappers as you want for 3 days for only $29 each using coupon code DAD29. This coupon goes live on Sunday and is active until midnight, dropping the price of a 3-day all access from $69 to $29, coming out to less than $10 per day. Just go to WagerTalk.com, choose your favorite handicapper, use coupon code DAD29 at checkout, and repeat as many times as you want until midnight.
Hey guys, welcome. Happy Friday. Welcome to this edition of Puck Time. I'm Carmine and Bianco of WagerTalk.com. With me today is Andy Lang. Andrew's got the day off. He, I believe, is in Montreal. He's staying at the Hyatt Regency. He found out that's where the Vegas Golden Knights are, and he's been pulling the fire alarm every 2 hours since midnight. So we'll see if that has any effect on the Golden Knights tonight. Let's bring in my good friend, Andy Lang. Andy, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great. I'm just picturing Andrew like dressing up as like room service and knocking on all their doors at 3 a.m. Like, hey, I got your burger. Like, I didn't order anything. Oh, my bad. Trying to do whatever he can. So, doing great. We're winding down. So there's fewer and fewer props, but there's still value out there. Still some really good plays on the board. Really excited to go over a few here for you guys today.
Yeah, and what we're going to do is we're going to cover, obviously, the Vegas-Montreal game that goes tonight, and then we're going to touch on the game for tomorrow as well, too. New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning. We saw what happened last night. Great game last night. If you're a hockey purist, that was a good one. Lightning getting home ice back, winning 2-1 in that game. Pretty exciting game for a 2-1 scoreline, and the playoffs have been fantastic thus far. So we're looking forward to another good one tonight, and then a couple more on the weekend. Before we get going with this Vegas Golden Knights game, a big congrats out to Dave Koken. I always talk about Andrew and the great run he's having with 5% plays. Koken yesterday released a 5% play in MLB. He hasn't released one since 2019, and it was an easy winner last night. Koken's just absolutely rolling in baseball this season. So you might want to head over to WagerTalk.com, click on his page, and find his baseball season package or all-star package and take advantage of that one. All right, Andy, Vegas, Montreal. Let's look at the line in this one. The Golden Knights are minus 165. Montreal plus 145. The total sits at 5, and it's landed on 5 both games thus far. We know what happened last game. We have a series now. The first period of game 2 was really a masterclass by the Montreal Canadiens, and I say that because they came out with a game plan, and they played it to perfection in that game. They got out to a 2-0 lead in that game, outshot the Vegas Golden Knights 12-4, and they parlayed that 2-0 lead into a 3-2 win. They just played fantastic, Andy, throughout that game. Any thoughts on that last game? First off.
Well, just some overall thoughts. I continue to be baffled why you keep getting this plus money number on teams this late into the playoffs. I mean, it doesn't matter what team you are. You made it this far into the playoffs. Why are you plus 140? Why are you plus 145? We're down to the last few teams, and that's where the value just continues to be. I mean, I don't know how many times Canadiens have been plus money, but if you would have just bet them every time they're plus money, you're up really, really big. And here we are again with them at looking at several books. You can get them at plus 135. You can get them at plus 140. That's where the value is. As far as a props looking You're seeing a lot of this in the NBA, and it's equating over to the NHL as well. Prop bettors ignore the unders on a lot of these. And I'm finding a lot of success in taking some of the unders, especially with the shots on goal. You're seeing a lot of distribution on some of the shots. You're seeing some teams not get as many shots, especially if they get up. There was a game where Montreal had a lot of shots on goal at the end of the game when all is said and done, but 7 of those shots were in the last 2 minutes when they pulled the goalie, and you get the barrage of shots on goal. But before that, they only had about 19 or 20 shots on goal. And when you look just down the score sheet, you're seeing that the books are hanging a lot of these guys at 2.5 shots on goal, 3.5 shots on goal, and they're ending with 2 shots on goal or 1. And I know in playoff hockey, you're always excited to take the over. Always going to be firing away. But just time and time again, you're just seeing a lot more of these props come up just a half shot short, or a guy that you would think would have a point, and then the game ends 2-1 or 3-2, and there just ends up not being a lot of points. I know nobody wants to root for unders, but that's where the value is. The value is in the plus money at this point, and the value is in the unders on a lot of the props, and that's mostly what I'm looking at.
Yeah, the interesting thing, we talk about, the respect or lack of respect that the Montreal Canadiens are getting. And, I'm right there with it. You know what I mean? I didn't think they would come out of the Toronto series. The Winnipeg series was a little different, but they've played 13 games thus far in the NHL playoffs, and they've been underdogs in 11 of them. They were an underdog in every game of the Toronto series. They were an underdog, and in the first 2 games in Winnipeg, while a slight underdog, Winnipeg was minus 140-ish in the first game and about minus 115 in the second. The Canadiens were favorites in game 3 and 4. And in both games against the Golden Knights, they've been underdogs. And they're going to continue to be underdogs in the next 2 games, regardless of whether Vegas hangs 7 on them tonight or not, or Montreal wins tonight. The line on Sunday is going to be a similar one, where Vegas is about 160 or 170 in that game, and likely higher if Montreal wins tonight. So it's hard to believe, but they're using that underdog role and just rolling with it. A little disrespect for a team who's playing very well right now. So with that said, Andy, let's get into this game. Montreal's got home ice here. Vegas is looking to get it back, similar to what Tampa Bay did in game 1. If I'm looking at sides and totals and in some of these games, I just don't want to touch them, and I'll talk about it on when we touch on the Tampa game. Here, both games have landed on 5, but there's been numerous scoring chances in the game. The goal expectancy has been higher than what the final score comes out to. It's just one of those games where the total sits at 5. I want to go over the total again. It's the only series where I want to go over the total. That's sort of where I'm looking at here right now. Do I want to lay the 160 with Vegas, even though I think they're the better team? Likely not, because of we're in that same situation I just talked about. Montreal, has been a dog in 11 of 13 games, and they've won 9 of them, I believe, right? 4, 8, yeah, something like that. So, no, actually, they haven't won 9 of them, but they've won 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. 7 of the 11 games they've been a dog, they've won. So, with that said, Andy, let's look at props. That's why you're here. You are the prop master, and you've somewhat sniped my prop, which we'll discuss at the end of the show. But here's one thing, and I will say this: the last show I was on, which was I believe on Wednesday, which was the Vegas game, I talked about a couple of props. One of them I took. One of them I didn't want to give out because of the vig. I just thought it was too high. But one was Gallagher, over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 120-ish, I think it was. He ended up with exactly 2 shots on goal. So that stayed under. And then I talked about Pietrangelo of the Knights and how he has been just registering 6 and 7 shots on goal regularly. He was 2.5, but you had to lay 170. And I couldn't tell the guys in the chat who were watching the show, hey, lay 170. I just can't do that. And he registered 7 shots on goal in that game, scoring the last couple of goals, or the 2 goals for the Vegas Golden Knights. Thoughts on the prop market for this game?
Well, you mentioned big juice, and there are ways that you can kind of utilize that to your advantage. One tonight, it's ridiculous. It's minus 215. I don't know why they do this sometimes. They got Nick Suzuki. His shot total is only 1.5. He's had 4 shots and 2 shots on goal in the 2 games. 1.5. He's going to get there, but it's minus 215. So if you wanted to, you could use it as a parlay piece. I personally put very few parlays in any of my client packages. But if you had something else that you felt very confident in, that's a piece that you could get to. I would feel very confident laying that. And then we talked about some of these unders that are hitting, and you would think that they would go over, and your instinct would say, well, surely he's going to get to 3 shots. But I look at Alex Tuck, and his shot total is 2.5. He's gone under in both of these games. He only has 3 total for the series. That's one that the books haven't quite adjusted to. It's less than minus 140. I think there's value on that. If we want to look at points, you talked about when there's only 5 goals being scored, it can be tough to get guys to register points because, like we say, if teams aren't scoring goals, it's hard to get points. But Tyler Toffoli has been good. He's only minus 134 to get a point. You got to believe if Montreal is going to have goals, he's probably going to be a part of it in some way or the other. He's been really good. His shots on goal prop coming into this series was a great underplay. It's split 1-1. So I don't find any value in the Toffoli shots. But as far as a point goes, I would look at that. I would also look at Alex Tuck. But again, I'm looking at the shots on goal totals, and I just can't recommend guys like, Shea Weber. Can't recommend over 2.5 shots on that. Can't recommend Caulfield over 2.5 shots. So the lines are begging you to take the over, and I would say be careful and shade to the under on some of these if you have to. But Alex Tuck under 2.5 shots is one that I will probably be involved with today, as well as Toffoli to have a point.
Let me ask you one other shot prop, and you can just tell me you don't like it or pass or whatever. But, I'm looking at 2 different books, and one book has Max Pacioretty over 2.5 shots on goal. You have to lay $1.60. And then another book has Max Pacioretty over 3.5 goals, and the under 3.5 shot, or sorry, not goals, shots. Under 3.5 shots is minus 195. Can we find a book where he lands exactly on 3? Because I'm not sure. When I see these numbers, it's unbelievable. I just feel like taking the under 2.5 at plus money, the over 3.5 at plus money, and hope it doesn't land on 3.
Yes, trying to get the middle. Always a recipe for disaster.
Avoid the middle. I'm trying to avoid the middle. Because you're looking at
yes, you want to avoid the middle. Yes.
Plus 1. Where are we at?
The value again. The value's in the under. I'm looking at his shots on goal, and I'll even go back to last series. So 2 shots last game, 1 shot. So there's 2 unders for you right there. And then before that, he got to 3 shots, but that's under your 3.5. 1 shot against Colorado, and that was an overtime that he only had 1 shot total. And 3, 8, 4, and 1. So if you're looking at that total of 3.5 shots on goal, that's a 5-game streak on the under. And you're looking at the 2.5 prop. That's a 2-game. It's a 2-game streak on the under. And I keep preaching this, and I know I say it in just about every video I talk about props, but it's so important to understand with the start of each series, that is like a new season in the playoffs. The way that Vegas is playing against Colorado is probably not going to be it's not going to be the exact same as when they play Montreal. So it's tough to carry over trends from one series to the other. You can look at it, but you can't harp on it. So we're looking at Pacioretty and 1 shot in game 1, 2 shots in game 2. That's very different from his other games in the postseason. Again, the value's in the under. I keep saying the value's in the under. I would look at the 2.5 shot total and take the.
Yeah. I get it. And, in thinking and looking at like some of the totals, the Vegas Golden Knights, when in that series against Minnesota, a lot of high shot totals, the series against Colorado, we normally look at the box scores and see Vegas registering, 40 shots plus, even during the regular season. 30 shots on goal and I think 31 shots on goal in the 2 games against Montreal. So obviously fewer shots. You spread them around that lineup, and it's why it's surprising sometimes when you figure that someone like Pietrangelo literally has 25% of the shot total for the Vegas Golden Knights in their game. So with that said, we'll get to that prop at the end of the show. Let's look at this. Let's look at this game for tomorrow. I want to touch on that one as well too. Tampa Bay and the Islanders. Again, like I said, from a purist point of view, a hockey purist point of view, you look at the lines first. Tampa favored again, -130. The Islanders +110, a dog at home. The total sits at 5. From a purist point of view, last night's game was an absolute beauty. Lightning, they win back home ice with that win. And, we talked about, and I talked about the totals of 5 on the previous shows. There were something like 21 or 22 wins, 10 pushes, and about 4, maybe 5 losses. I'll have the exact number for the next show when you're going over the total. But this is probably the one series that you don't want to take these over 5s, because these two teams are playing just knockout, tight checking hockey. There's slim opportunities 5-on-5. It's special teams or nothing in this. It seems like in this series, and these teams are playing disciplined hockey. 1 penalty each in the last game. You can actually look at the Tampa goal, and while it wasn't a power play goal, it came a couple seconds after the penalty expired. So you can look at it as it's a result of a power play, but not a power play goal. These teams aren't giving you much in this series. So taking an over 5 here, you just can't do it. I think you have to look at the side. And as far as looking at the side, whether it's a square point of view, I thought Tampa was the better team coming into this series. Nothing's really changed my mind. And I'm just going to come right back with Tampa to win in game 4 at a very short price. And I bring it back home up 3-1 in the series. Andy, any thoughts on the game or props?
I would look at the first period going under. 2-1, that's been the final score in 2 of the games. Game 2 kind of looks like a little bit of an outlier. And we did have 2 goals in the first period in game 2. But as you touched on, one of them was a power play goal. And that's the exception, not the rule. One of the games, they had no goals in the first period. The other, we've had 1. So we're looking at 2 total full strength goals in the first period. And when you have 2 disciplined teams, a lot of times they're going to come out, kind of feel each other out. So I think you're going to get an easy 5 to 7 minutes to start the game of not a lot of shots on goal, not a lot of opportunity. I would look at that first period under, especially now that they've got 3 games under their belt and they know how each other plays. Power plays are going to be harder and harder to come by. They're, like you said, when you have games that are 2-1, you just can't afford a power play. I mean, that's literally the difference between winning and losing a game. So that's what the stress is going to be. So I would look for an uneventful first period. That's how I would attack this game. First period under.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And, you look at some of the things and some of the shot props, scoring props, obviously scoring props, I don't think you can take them. You just have to avoid them. In Tampa series, in Tampa games during these playoffs, I've been looking at the power play props because you're getting a lot of plus money on guys like Stamkos, Hedman, Kucherov, Braden Point. But in a series where you're expecting 2-1, 3-1 score lines and likely teams are playing disciplined hockey with very few penalties, you can't take those scorer props because you may not even get a chance at winning them if the Islanders don't draw a penalty in a game. So it's tough to take any type of a score prop, whether it's just to score a goal or pick up a point or pick one up on the power play. One interesting prop, Andy, on this game is, it's split -120 both ways, is will a team score 3 consecutive goals? In a game that's low scoring, it's -120 both ways on yes and no. I would likely look at no in this game because number one, I'm not sure a team is going to score 3 goals, and number 2 is if they do, it's going to be broken up, you would think, with a goal by someone else. Obviously, the empty nets at the end of the game can really take the steam out of that bet, and you're sweating it because they're pulling goalies with about 4 minutes left in these games. But Any thoughts on something like that?
That is a great bet. I love that one. I have not seen that on the American books. I'm looking at DraftKings and FanDuel, and I don't see it. But that is great. Yeah, you're right. Like, will a team score 3 in a row? Like, will a team score 3? I would wonder what the team total is going to be for these two teams when the lines come out tomorrow. So that is a great one. And at -120, that is a no-brainer. That I think that is a great bet. If you have that at your book, I would absolutely take that in this one. Even if a team does get to 3 goals, the odds of them scoring 3 in a row without, as you said, one, breaking up that streak is going to be hard at best. So I I think that's a great one. I have not seen that one yet, but I'm definitely going to add that to my arsenal for sure.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the advanced team, like the team total goals. These are two-way numbers, and for Tampa Bay, over 2.5 is -150. Over 3.5 is obviously +185. So they're figuring on 3 goals likely. The books are figuring on 3 goals likely for the Tampa Bay Lightning. The New York Islanders over 2.5 goals is +105. So the obviously the vig is on the under. Under 2.5 is -145 on total Islander goals. So uh, if you're looking at just what the books are telling you, then they're figuring that 3 unanswered goals, 3 goals without a reply, is likely to hit with Tampa more so than it is to hit with the New York Islanders. But that's just assuming the team totals and trying to factor that into that type of bet. All right, guys. Obviously, we just wanted to touch on the 2 games. It's a shorter version of Puck Time, but I want to find out what is going on before we do our best bet segment. What is going on with Andy this weekend? I know I was watching a little bit of the second qualifying session of Formula One this morning. So tell me you've got a bunch of plays up.
Looking to see yeah, oh yeah, they'll be coming. I wanted to see a couple practice sessions. Mercedes looks like they're getting back on track. The last Formula One race, I was my bets were 3-0 with 3 laps to go, and ended the race 0-3 with the entire disaster in that. That was frustrating, but we're back at it. I'm on a great winning streak in MLB. NBA playoffs are going great. We're coming off of 5-1 night, and then a 6-unit 4-2 night the night before. So this weekend we have the U.S. Open golf tournament, a lot of action in there. So MLB, NBA, NHL, golf, NASCAR, Formula One. It is an absolutely huge weekend for me. A lot of sports to be watching, a lot of money to be had. So a busy weekend for me for sure.
All right. And I wish you obviously the best of luck. I always watch those Formula One races. I love them. I grew up watching it, going to the races in Montreal. And I'm looking forward to as we are finally returning to normal of going to see another Formula One race again. Myself, I have a 5% play up tomorrow in the Euros. We've already kicked off the morning with a winner on Sweden. So a couple more games coming up, one at noon with Croatia and Czech Republic, and then England and Scotland. That's the 3 o'clock game. I've got a couple plays on those. You can get them over at WagerTalk.com up until noon. There's a scorer's prop in there as well too. And my Euro package, you can get every single play in the Euros right through to the finals, and all the Copa America games that are going on in Brazil as an added bonus. I'll add those to the package. That normally goes for $199. Use the coupon code Italy40 and get $40 off. So you get it for $159. There's a ton of plays, and we are off to a winning start in the tournament. So we're looking forward to a lot more. Andy, I'm going to go to you first on the show best bet. I have a feeling I'm going to like this one. So tell us what you got.
Well, I have a promo code too. I forgot to mention promo code because I'm really bad at promoting myself. Use the promo code Andy3. It gets you 3-day pass for $30 off. Fridays are the best day of the week to get a 3-day pass for me, because you're going to get all the daily golf plays, NASCAR, Formula One, and a weekend's worth of NHL, MLB, and NBA. Smoking deal. So every Friday I will be offering this, and that's the way to go. So, yeah, we'll make this best bet pretty easy, Carm. We'll go with Pietrangelo over 3.5 shots on goal. He's only had 7 in both games, and that's not combined 7. That is 7 in each. You mentioned he's basically a massive chunk of the team's entire shots on goal. I'm stunned that this is only minus 118. I actually double checked the stats to make sure I wasn't missing anything, but I guess books are worried about putting up a 4.5. But I would start with a 4.5 shots on goal. But I think you and I are on the same page with 3.5 shots on goal on the over.
All right. Good to hear. First, I'm going to say, as far as tomorrow goes, I'll give you an advanced best bet because we won't have obviously a show. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay. It's going to be one of my plays tomorrow. I got a ton of soccer plays, so this one will be a freebie. I'm going to take Tampa minus the 130. My show best bet is the exact same bet as Andy, as when we put it into our show production, we had the same play, which was Pietrangelo over 3.5 shots. Here's the thing, though. Andy does not know the rule on having double best bets on the show. If both guys have the same bet and the bet loses, we have to shave our heads for next Friday's show. So, Andy, the pressure is on. You're going to need Pietrangelo to get over 3.5 goals, or we both shave our heads for next Friday's show. With that said, guys,
Done.
Really thank Andy for coming on the show. Andrew, during this show, has pulled the fire alarm one more time at the Hyatt Regency in Montreal. He's having a great time there or wherever he is. I wish you guys all the best this weekend. Remember to hit the like button. And as always, guys, good luck with your wagers. We'll see you on Monday.
Are you ready for football season? Yes, you heard right. The NFL kicks off in less than 50 days, and WagerTalk and Gold Sheet have you covered with the new Gold Sheet NFL Summer Guide. The Gold Sheet NFL Summer Guide is over 80 pages of actionable NFL handicapping information to help you prep for this season from a betting perspective, and best of all, the guide is free. This includes lines for every NFL game, schedule with Ralph Michaels' exclusive power ratings, position-by-position breakdown with every NFL player that made a start last season, exclusive NFL health reports for each team, and much more. Just go to thegoldsheet.com and the guide is available on the front page with no sign up or information needed.